I'm Father Robert Ballecer, the digital Jesuit, host of This Week in Enterprise Tech on the TWiT TV network. I'm here in Orlando, Florida for Enterprise Connect 2016, and I'm sitting with Interactive Intelligence's Chief Business Officer, Paul Weber. Paul, thank you very much for speaking with us.
You bet, thank you.
For the folks who may be at home, what is Interactive Intelligence? What is it that you do? What services do you offer?
So we are a software company that's been in the customer experience space for the last 20 years. Started out in premise-based software with a concept of changing the way people communicate with their customers. We were a very early adopter of cloud, and actually we're at this show to announce the real maturation of our pure cloud offering, which again is a public cloud, AWS-based offering that enhances the customer experiences for our customers.
Well, let's talk about that, because something that you mentioned was you started with premise-based software. We've seen a huge move over the last few years, especially in the last, I'd say 12 months, from on-premise to not just cloud, but also a hybrid of the two. Where have you seen Interactive Intelligence move into that space?
So we had a hybrid offering. So we went from premise to having a data center-based kind of a hosted cloud. We called it communication as a service. You would call it hybrid. Over the last 3 years, we have been in development of a complete rewrite of everything we do. And we took the long path of doing a true microservices architecture implementation on Amazon Web Services. And what that does is it allows you to break out this very complex offering into very simplified, very resilient, scalable services. The release of that hit from a collaboration perspective last year, a basic UC, but what we did was turned our focus to customer engagement, contact center, and what's happened is we have come out with a platform that from a feature functionality perspective is ready to surpass what we had on the premise, but we can put the system in a matter of days. We're not charged signing up any long-term contracts. We're doing a simplified pricing. We're really looking to make it so easy to consume the service that we really want to disrupt this space, and that's why we're excited to be here.
Paul, give me a bit more information about the service. So if I've got an audience who's sitting at home and they're wondering, are they big enough for this? Do they have enough of demand in order to contract with Interactive Intelligence? What would you simplify? What would you do for them, for the 200-seat business all the way up to the 10,000-seat enterprise?
That's a good question. What I would say is that regardless of your size, and sometimes the smaller you are and the fewer customers you have, the more important that customer is. So what we want to say is that from day one, we're never going to force our customers into a certain channel of how they communicate. If the young kids want to text, they text. If you want to send an email, we'll take it. If you still want to call, the few people do, it doesn't matter. So if you have 5 agents, you can sign up with a credit card online. You could have a real full-blown enterprise-type contact center in a matter of days. That same application service could scale to 10,000 users. Nothing would change for you other than your monthly bill would go up. So it's really customer experience, turning customer service kind of into a competitive advantage would be a way to say it.
Now, Paul, this all sounds good, but our audience is pretty savvy, and they understand that there are other companies that are trying to do the same thing, to try to give the same services and the same intelligence. How would you sell and position Interactive Intelligence? What is it that you think you do just a little bit different or just a little bit better that makes it an easy buy for a potential client?
Sure, it's a combination of having a company that's been focused for the last 20 years on contact center, the customer engagement, customer experience. That 20 years intersecting with what we think is about the biggest technology disruption we will have witnessed in the last 10 to 15 years, which is the exponential growth people are getting from a shift to something like AWS. But there is a clarification here. We could have taken our monolithic CIC solution and moved it into AWS, and we could have called it AWS. If we wouldn't have taken the time to do that true microservice architecture implementation to really increase the resilience and the scale, that's what's different. So you're going to hear people say, we're going AWS, you need to find out, are you treating it like an operating system or a storage facility? So that would be the difference.
I'm going to ask you to gaze into your crystal ball here. The movement into the cloud has not been subtle over the last year, and there is now a sort of an expectation that you'll be able to have a premise deployment and a hybrid deployment or a private cloud deployment based on what your customers' needs are. But as you see the trend towards more having everything as a service, where do you think Interactive Intelligence will be at Enterprise Connect 2017?
We will be a pure cloud company. We're not going to do it away with our premise solution. It's already very well developed. It's very profitable, and there are customers out there that still want to own it. They want to buy it. But I will tell you, my opinion is that with our implementation, there is now a compelling reason for people to make that shift. And in the past, I think the hybrid, it was cool. It was a little better than what we had, but it wasn't 3 times better, right? And there's people say that technology to make a big jump, whatever you have, you got to have a 3x. With AWS, our implementation of Pure Cloud, we believe we have that. I think it's going to be a huge wave, and not just with us, across the board.
Paul, thank you very much for speaking with us, for giving us your time. If they wanted to find out more about Interactive Intelligence, where can they go?
ININ.com.
Paul, again, thank you for spending your time with us. Thank you for sharing your tech, and we'll bring you more from Enterprise Connect 2016.